subscribe button. We just got word from Ian Rapoport, who tweeted out that Deshaun Watson has ruptured his Achilles again. Further testing showed, and he had another surgery yesterday to repair it. Less than 3 months after the original tear, it happened again. Watson faces a longer road back and now could miss all of 2025. So Deshaun Watson retore his Achilles, out for an undisclosed amount of time.
Out for the year, Mike.
I mean, he's out for his career.
I think
he's not
Jason,
gonna
I
play
think
again.
you're right.
He's done. I mean, this isn't a surprise.
He's done. Probably.
I'm surprised
yes,
that he tore it again.
No, I'm not.
Why?
It was out days ago.
We knew there was a setback.
No, it was whispers.
There were rumblings.
Yeah, I told Mike Tuesday.
We've had this camp made since Tuesday.
I told Mike Tuesday, be ready. I think he tore it again.
Here's what I don't understand.
Why didn't they just say that when the news came out that there was a setback?
Because I think he had to see. He went to North Carolina. I think
Get
it
an
was North
MRI.
Carolina.
It's torn.
No, he was seeing a doctor. What's today? Friday. When was he seeing the doctor? Wednesday? Tuesday?
Wednesday.
Wednesday, he went and saw the doctor.
Okay.
So
Why would he see a doctor right away?
What do you mean?
Any doctor would know if it's torn, most likely, even without any.
Yeah, there's
imaging.
indications that there's a
yeah.
tear, but an MRI confirms it.
Yeah, right.
I think they knew. They were waiting on.
They
were waiting on the official.
Here's the thing, like, I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter. I don't know why he's not wearing a boot 3 months after surgery.
I don't. You refer to the stupid Instagram videos, right?
Yeah, he wasn't wearing a boot.
That doesn't mean we're not with him 24 hours a day. Who knows when he's wearing it?
When I guess it's different.
No, but if you have pictures of him not wearing a boot, you know he's not wearing it 24 hours.
Right.
I never took off my boot in the first 4 months, except when I was in bed.
Yeah, I've never torn it, so I don't know what
I'm not
the
a
protocol
professional
is,
athlete, so I guess it's different. But
no.
I just assumed everybody had to wear a boot, or you're supposed to wear a boot.
So implications of this, I agree with you, Jay. On first glance, it looks like
he's done.
Certainly not playing this coming next
chance.
season.
No
but
chance.
I think that kind of cooks his career. I don't know where he gets another shot.
I mean, one Achilles tear puts your career in grave danger.
You guys had a salary cap guy on, I think, earlier
Jack
this week.
Duffin yesterday.
I didn't get to see it,
Yeah.
but is there any indication that we know there's insurance relief on the salary? Is there any? You don't get salary cap relief, do you? I didn't think so.
All that money you push forward, you still have to account for.
I think there's a tiny bit of salary cap
Someone
relief.
tried telling me that there's a formula that there could be some salary cap
but it's
relief.
minimal.
But the relief would be on, I think, future dollars owed. It's not the back money that they push forward.
Okay.
It's like he still has to count for $46 million in actual dollars against the cap next year.
And by the
so
way,
you might get relief on that, and then the money, the actual dollars, not the money pushed forward, not the imaginary cap money, but the money actually owed to him that you have to write in a check. You might be able to get relief. I assume you would get relief on that.
Now, in the end, the cap guy yesterday did make it clear that as long as Jimmy's willing to spend with no limits, which he has at this point, then the cap is to some degree not real. There'll never be a comeuppance if he's always willing to spend.
Well, then just pay everybody a $100 million contract then, if it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Just give everybody $100 million.
Well, no, that's not what I'm saying. First of all, most teams are not willing to spend like Jimmy
I hear
did.
what you're saying.
But a lot of teams, though, Bull, that are.
Yes, but you can go a certain amount over the cap. I'm not saying it's a zero factor, but he made I thought it was interesting. Like he said, the Browns could still spend in actual cash even without Watson's money, the 8th most money in the league.
Because you convert all the money to a roster bonus, you pay it up front.
Right, there's always tricks. As long as Jimmy's willing to spend endlessly,
that's the one thing he'll do.
It's really
That's
not
the one thing he'll
going
do.
to ever be an overwhelming factor. It's not a non-factor, but not overwhelming. But in terms of Deshaun, I spoke to my physical therapist who's now become a friend. I worked with him when I tore my Achilles. And he was telling me that every time you tear your Achilles, it changes, obviously not a tiny amount, but it changes the length of your Achilles tendon.
Right.
And so having a second surgery is going to once again, very so slightly, change the length of your Achilles tendon.
And then
but even though it's a tiny amount,
the chance that you tear it again.
Yes, and
there's more stress on
it's a major. Just the fact that your Achilles tendon length is different, even by a millimeter or whatever it is. I don't know, maybe less than that. it's a factor in your athletic ability and all of that. So between the 2 Achilles tears and the shoulder injury, yes, his career is probably over. There's obviously no chance he's going to play for the team this year. But
in terms of cap relief, according to Over the Cap, if Watson does not play in 2025, the Browns can cash in on $44.3 million on an insurance policy they took out on Watson. So that would be the cap relief they get. Deshaun still gets all his money.
That's not cap relief.
No, wait a minute. That's just their salary relief.
Salary.
Yeah, cap relief.
They don't get that cap relief.
No.
Yeah.
But they get that money back, yes.
Yeah.
No, we don't care about that. Who
they
cares?
don't. I mean, I guess at some point it's $43 million. You're going to bend over to pick it up.
But that's.
It's in terms of helping their salary cap situation.
Yeah, but make that clear, Mike, because you just said it was salary cap relief. It's not.
No, we fixed it.
He cashes in on the $44.3 million.
It helps Haslam because he's not on the hook for it.
Right.
But it does not come off of their salary cap. Number.
Well, this just goes to show you. I mean, first of all, it sucks. I'm walking around in a boot myself. I partially tore my Achilles heel. I just know how tough it is to come back from injuries. I never considered him going to be even able to be playing this year anyway. And given when he tore it and how he tore it, and given the fact that what it looks like when you come back from an Achilles heel tendon tear. I mean, it's very stiff. You don't have the same amount of range of motion in it. You're kind of scared to explode and do certain things like that and run and get off to a good start, especially when you're talking about a running quarterback that uses his legs. Now he's torn it again. There is no way. I'm going to just let you know that right now. Like, that is from a guy who's had it. He's not playing this year. He might not be playing ever no more. Like, you got to think about it. I believe he has 2 ACL surgeries.
And the shoulder.
2 ACLs and the shoulder and 2 Achilles heels. So this is just a note to the Cleveland Browns. Hey, man, you find out what you're going to do at quarterback because you still need one.
I think this is, I don't mean to sound cruel or harsh or whatever. I mean, he's not dying. It's an Achilles tear. This is honestly a great thing for the Browns. And it's a great thing for the fans. I think it's a sigh of relief for fans that were struggling with having to root for a team with Deshaun Watson on it.
I can't go that far. I'm never going to say that's a good for the fans. Somebody got hurt. Like the Cleveland Browns could have just said they're not going to play him. I'm not going to go that far and say it's good for the fans. Somebody got hurt.
I'm just that's fine, G. I'm just saying I think there's a lot of fans that are relieved that they know for sure. Whether they suspect it or not, you now know for sure he is not in the mix anymore.
It changes the composition of the quarterback room, and it takes him out of the mix. And I think, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think what you're trying to say is, for the fans that weren't happy that he was going to be part of the equation at quarterback next year.
That's gone now.
And it might not be just because of the baggage that he had. It might just be because I've seen what he brings to the team on the field, and it's not what we need. So if they're pleased that he's removed from that conversation for whatever reason, and in this case it was an injury, I kind of get what you're saying. I also, having gone through devastating injuries that take 12 to 15 months to recover from, I can speak from that end of it. There's nothing positive or good about that.
Well, I mean, then he should have been wearing his boot. I don't know.
Well, I don't know that that's why he tore up a bull. I did think the same thing when I saw the video. I thought, geez, where's the boot? And I don't know how he tore it. I don't know if it was because he didn't have the boot on.
We also don't know if that video was recorded.
We don't know. We don't know. That's the thing with social media. It could have been a year-old clip. We're
not his medical team. We don't know what program he was on. We don't even know if he's supposed to be wearing a boot, a cast, whatever the case may be.
We don't.
At the end of the day,
but it does seem logical that he would be in a boot. I know a lot of people that have gone through the tear, and it's not a 6-week boot situation. You're in that for 4 months, and you just got to do what the doctor tells you to do if you want to make it all the way back.
If we're being realistic,
real quick, sorry to cut you off, but Schefter says at minimum 7-month recovery time for Deshaun. So that puts him at first back in middle of summer. Yeah,
stop it.
I don't know where he gets that number.
Where's you getting that from?
Well, he may have some, to me, a re-tear, and I'm not an expert, and maybe he's talked to experts, so I don't know, but I know with the ACL, after I tore it the second time, I actually, there was a problem with the surgery, and 3 weeks later I had to replace it again. Oh, the clock resets.
Of course.
Because I asked my doctor, I said, does that mean I'm 9 to 12 months from today? Oh, of course it does. We're going to go back in and put a new ACL in your leg. Yes, you're hitting the reset button.
Right.
7 months for an Achilles. Remember when Aaron Rodgers tore his in the first snap or second snap of the preseason? There was some talk by him, scoffed at by every expert, that he was going to try to make it back during the season, which would have been like a 5-month calendar.
Which, of course, didn't happen.
It didn't happen. But, I mean, now that does change the conversation. If Adam Schefter is right, and if you can recover from this in 7 months, and I've never heard that, but if you can, that does line up with the start of training camp.
I don't believe that.
Lost his mind.
Realistically, this has no bearing on the Browns' plans because they were already nothing changed. They were already moving forward with.
And why would the Browns want to push that calendar? Because they want an insurance company to pay the $43 million, not them.
And there's no example. What's the comp for somebody carrying?
I've never heard of one.
Twice in a 3-month stretch.
I'm with Jason. Like this had no. Like it's unfortunate, but this had no bearing on what they were going to do at the quarterback position, the way they were evaluating talent, and what they were going to do with the room. Like, the room is going to get a major overhaul, and Deshaun Watson is not in their plans. The only reason he's in the plans is because they got to figure out about this money.
It's a benefit to them from the point that now I would imagine you can put him on the PUP list and he won't count against your 53.
That's right.
Now you can bring in 3 quarterbacks.
So,
because if he was on the roster and you were paying him,
you'd
be wasting a roster spot.
So
Now you don't have to waste that roster
You restructure, you kick more money down the road. We've already talked about that.
Yeah.
But I thought you were going to have to carry him on the 53. Now maybe, and there's all kinds of different designations. Maybe there's a designation you can give him, IR, whatever, where he's not going to count against you.
Have you guys ever seen a transaction in sports history that, Bull, you and I know we agree this is the worst transaction in sports history, but the hits just keep coming.
Yeah.
It's just one
it's unbelievable.
After another.
It's unbelievable.
It's almost like, and some people believe in this, some people don't, but the word that comes to mind is karma.
I told Adam that on the phone the other day. I said, normally I'm not a big karma guy, but
how do you, in this particular instance?
Like in its injuries, who tears their Achilles twice? Who does that? Who's ever heard of that? And the shoulder. No quarterbacks had that injury.
There was no comp for the quarterback to the shoulder
no
injury with
comp for that, and as far as I can think of, no comp for a guy tearing his Achilles twice in 3
I can't
months.
remember it either.
I mean, maybe it's happened.
It's just like the hits keep coming and come, and at some point, play stupid game, win stupid prize.
You gotta now you can fully move on, even if you somehow thought
the Browns
they wouldn't
paid
anyway.
$12 million per start for Deshaun Watson. 19 starts, $230 million. They paid $12
million per bad start.
Oh, he had a couple decent ones in there.
Yeah, 2.
He had a good half against Baltimore. We'll always have that.
Yeah.
We'll always have that.
Hanging in the Louvre, the second half against Baltimore.
Just a quick aside from all of this, because I was on a flight recently, and Jameis Winston was on the flight.
Oh.
And I couldn't help but wonder, is he leaving Cleveland right now for the last time? Do you bring him back?
No.
I don't think they
No.
will.
Is it a hard no across the board? Because I'm going to make a suggestion.
I don't think it ended well.
Here's
between
why.
the two
Here's
sides.
why. Here's why.
Was he bitter that they?
I don't know that.
Yeah.
I tend to believe that.
Jason, here's why I think it's definitely over. You correct me if I'm wrong. I think Kevin Stefanski, when I saw Kevin Stefanski in his press conference the other day, that was different than any other press conference I've seen him
In what way?
He basically said, and you got to read between the lines a little because he's never going to flat out say it. But for the first time, he said, "This is my team. We're doing things my way."
Yeah.
And for the people who want him fired, and I did the big flip flop. We talked about it last week. I get it. You don't want to hear this stuff, or if you do, then okay, now it's on him, and it is. If he has if they're terrible next year, he's going to be gone.
Yeah.
He is not. His hand being forced is not happening this year.
Yeah.
That's what I
Nor
believe.
should it.
That's what I heard. It shouldn't be.
Jay, do you agree with that? Because I agree with
he
what
doesn't
Bull
want
say.
Jameis Winston.
100%.
Yeah.
I think Jameis drives them crazy because of the interceptions. I think he drives Kevin crazy. I think he drives everybody.
Here's where I was going with all of that. What I was like, okay, so I need 3 better names than Jameis Winston. Okay? That's what I need.
Yeah.
And I don't know who they are. I don't know where they're coming from. If the organization can come up with 3 better names than Jameis Winston, okay. What I saw with Jameis, what we all saw with our own eyes, was record-setting performances on offense. What we also saw was colossal bad decision-making that has been part of his DNA throughout his career. What I wondered, because, Bull, I heard the same thing that you heard. I heard a guy who basically was passive as the head coach of an organization who's been taking bullets for decisions that he didn't make, finally decide to stand up and say, enough. If I'm going down my way. And I'm going to pick my offensive coordinator, which I think he's going to do.
Yep.
And I'm going to pick my quarterback. And we're going to run my offense.
Yep.
And we're going to do it my way. And if we fail, run my ass out of town. But I'm going to be fired on my merits, not your bad decisions.
That's it.
So because of that, I just couldn't help but wonder, what if he was to recommit with Jameis, bring him back and say, we're going to let you compete, and just put the guy through Kevin Stefanski quarterback lab 101, 202, get to graduate level.
Right.
Break down why he's throwing interceptions. Guys, physically, the tools, he's got the arm to make every throw.
But like you said, Jay, he wants his guys, and Jameis is not one of his
Well,
guys.
I didn't know that he wasn't. I didn't know. And if he wasn't, then forget all of that.
Kirk Cousins, Shedeur Sanders, and somebody else.
I want to hear 3 names that are better.
Kirk Cousins, Shedeur Sanders, and
Shedeur Sanders, you're going to say is better.
I don't know. Hey, if we sit here talking this quarterback stuff,
yeah.
I'm telling you right now, if he want to get up here and punt on quarterbacks and draft tackles, he's going to get fired again. He's going to get fired next year. Like this thought process where
you're talking about Andrew Berry.
No, all of them. I don't have my guy. This ain't my guy. Baker wasn't your guy. Deshaun wasn't your guy.
What if his guy isn't there though?
Hey, he better figure out what these retreads better be one of his guys because he ought to coach somebody up. Jay.
Well, I think Cousins is one.
Somebody he gonna have to do something. He got to coach somebody up.
I agree with you. Here's the spot that they're in. They've got the second pick. If you don't love these quarterbacks, what do you do? Maybe they do. Maybe they love one of these quarterbacks. Maybe they do.
So Jay just asked, if you don't like Jameis Winston, right, you find me somebody
That's
new.
okay. Just give me 3 names that are better.
And so if he don't like no quarterbacks in the draft, so what are we doing?
But
we ain't get nobody?
No, I think there's a difference in 0-17 and 17-0. Like you can get the point I was trying to make on Monday was if you get a stopgap guy, okay, great. You got a stopgap guy, you won 8 or 9 games, and you save your job and everything. Now what?
Well, Minnesota's in that spot. They won 15.
But they got J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, right. And
then Sam Darnold fell out of the sky into their lap.
Exactly.
So now they're in a great spot.
And look at Atlanta, similar deal. They had Cousins as a bridge to get
Penix.
A guy who...
And it didn't work with Cousins because he played terrible.
He did play terrible.
Well, it didn't
coming
work
off an Achilles.
Terrible contract.
They'd hoped it would, but you talk about an Achilles and losing athleticism and not being able to move.
Right.
He's in that situation like Aaron Rodgers is.
I agree with you. They got to figure out something. They got to find something. And I'm sure that they have a plan. And maybe it is take one of those guys that... I think that they're formulating it.
They will draft a quarterback. It may not be a 2,
right.
but they will draft a quarterback.
I just don't want him to sit here holding the bag out of this draft and out of this free agency, and you get up and you look, you don't have a veteran, you didn't draft anybody as a quarterback.
They will.
And you're sitting here like,
they've got to draft a quarterback.
They will draft a quarterback. At some point, I don't know when it'll be. They will bring in a different veteran to either... Depending on when they draft a quarterback to compete or to be a bridge quarterback.
In terms of Cousins, the only thing I can tell you is going back to the offseason when they acquired Deshaun, Baker thought they wanted Kirk Cousins. Baker had convinced himself they were going after Kirk Cousins.
Right.
Too bad they didn't get Cousins.
Because of the connection.
But because of the obvious connection. Yeah. And the Browns were never interested in doing that. Now, times in turn
when you
change.
say Browns, do you mean Stefanski or do you mean...
I mean the organization.
Haslam.
The organization was never looking at Kirk Cousins. Okay. That was not what they were going to do.
Right.
So... He's older now. He's cheaper than he would have been then.
Sure,
but
even more so now.
Like everyone thinks like the Cousins thing is a foregone conclusion. I'm not entirely convinced that it is.
Atlanta came out and said we're ready to go into 25 with Cousins as our backup. That's a smokescreen.
Well, nobody's going to trade for that contract if you're trying to create leverage.
So what somebody like Cleveland is waiting to happen? They're waiting for Cousins to be released So Atlanta has to pay him.
Right.
And Cleveland gets him on the cheap.
Right.
Atlanta follows that with their own volley, saying, we're good going into 25 with
Now, maybe the Browns look around and say, there's nobody better. Okay, we'll take Kirk. I'm just telling you, when he was playing better earlier in his career, they weren't really focused on him.
Yeah, I mean,
Do you
Kirk
guys
Cousins-
think whoever they bring in as offensive coordinator, and I'll pivot from that to this, has any impact on where they go with quarterback? And we'll talk about the candidates in a sec, but
No.
is that higher indicative
No.
of where they may go quarterback?
I think this OC list reemphasizes Adam's point of this is Kevin
There's
saying.
Stefanski guys.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, let me read the
100%.
list then. Let's pivot to that. But